Okay, welcome divas and dudes to Powerhouse Bakery. I'm so excited to have you, and I see some new folks out there. I'm Suzanne Parker, and what we do here is look about everything healthy, and we are doing oilless cooking this week. It's kind of a nice segue from my oilless sauces that we did last time. So we're in that same idea of how do we do amazing flavor, great texture, and really super healthy without adding oil. And doesn't necessarily mean low in fat, but in this case, it's going to be pretty delicious and low in fat, as you'll see. So let me go through some of the ingredients that I have on my table. The first thing I'm going to show you is our sauce ingredients. So I'm going to be making a stir fry, and we're going to be doing the tofu in the fryer, so that's going to be wonderful. So I'm going to show you the sauce on that, and then also the stir fry liquid. So I want you to see what we're going to end up using. So I've got some orange juice, I've got some miso paste, I've got some ginger, but I'm also going to show you how to do fresh ginger grated, and then I have a little bit of this vegetarian hoisin sauce, which is going to be part of my mixture. So notice no oil. So that's going to go into my sauce. And then also I've got some fresh ginger. So we're going to do a little bit of grating of this, and what would be a good sauce without some garlic. And I'm even adding some jalapeno. So you can always decide how hot you want your sauce, but I love adding a little bit of jalapeno. Of course, we're in Texas, we got to have a little bit of that Tex-Mex flair. The other thing is I love to add a little bit of sweet. So I'm going to add in some mango at the very end of our stir fry, so you can see how wonderful that burst of flavor is at the very end. Before I get too far, I also want to show you two other items. Our wonderful Maria Zeitz shared this Italian bomba sauce with us a couple of classes ago, and this would be another way to do a great hot sauce, and it is hot. So again, it's going to be the last add-in that we do in our stir fry. And then, you know, of course, Powerhouse Bakery style, you know that Suzanne Ryman loves seeds. So what I've done here is I've made this fantastic little seedy blend, and let me show you how I did that. We've got some important seeds going on. I have fennel, cumin, and some caraway seeds, and then of course the sesame seeds. So I always want to find ways to layer the flavors, the sauce that I'm going to show you, the marinade that I put on the tofu that's going to be going into the stir fry. But these little seeds, we know, not only add flavor, but lots of nutrients. So I'm just going to show you kind of how I do the ratio here. With each of the flavored ones, so fennel, it's going to be about a teaspoon. And then we've got the cumin seeds, same idea, about a teaspoon. And then the caraway. So you could use different ones. I'm imagining some coriander would be really wonderful too. But so just a few grains of each of them. So about a half a teaspoon. And the ratio will be larger amount of sesame seeds. So I'm looking here probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe a tablespoon and a half. And that way it's a great vehicle to add interest and intrigue to my tofu. And then of course at the end of the stir fry, it will be fantastic. So there is my secret seedy blend. And you know, sometimes I do them with different ones. Like I mentioned, coriander is fantastic. I even use fenugreek. So all of the seeds are great. Sometimes I even add whole lavender, and oh my gosh, it's so exotic. It's a very fun way to finish off any dish. Also, while I've got my water boiling, I want to show you this great little organic brown rice pasta. So whenever we are gluten-free, what options do we have? And we are getting some really awesome options that are beautifully organic and easy to digest. So a lot of my patients that are going through cancer treatment, I really encourage them to use these noodles. And look how beautiful they are. They come in individually wrapped servings. So I love that. And this package has 4. There's other package brands that also have the 4, and they come pre-sealed in a polypropylene. But I just found these and I think they're wonderful. So I'm going to pop these in. And notice they stay curled up, and that's fine just for a little while. but I'm gonna break them apart after a couple minutes. Doesn't take long to cook too, so I'm gonna be really watching that. And then a little pinch of salt to my beautiful bundles of organic brown rice pasta. So while that's cooking up, I'm gonna also start my tofu. So yesterday when I started with my air fryer, I was still kind of learning about it. And so this time I'm really gonna try to have the temperature go down a little bit so that we get it cooked more thoroughly. You might have tried my chayote squash in my last class, and I wasn't real happy with it. It got a little bit hard or crispy around the edges, of course, the air fryer, but then the inside wasn't quite soft enough. So that's something that I'm still working on. So I've decided to try lowering the temperature just a little bit. I'm going to put my tofu in. Again, this has been marinated, and I'm going to show you that sauce. But oh my gosh, it smells so good. And I did add some of the seeds on top. This is probably going to take about 20 minutes, which is why I wanted to get it started quickly. So we'll all have a chance to sample. So let me show you what this looks like in the bin here. So you can see it's about maybe 25% full. So I like that. We're getting one good layer. And I'm starting my air fryer at 350 for 14 minutes. So actually I'm going to turn down the time because I'm pretty sure it's going to take 12. It's probably going to take 20, but I wanted to start at 12, check it, shake it a little bit, and then let it go again. But this timer is also going to help me with my pasta. Normally I just watch it and kind of look for the opaqueness, but if I was going to be really official and watch read the instructions, it says 4 to 5 minutes. So I got to really watch. Half of this time is when my noodles are ready. So talk about definitely multitasking. But look, these are already coming apart and looking beautiful. So I'm sure they're not going to take more than that 4 minutes. But yeah, they look great. So a little bit of salted water, and then I've got my strainer. I'm going to strain it and just add a little bit of the seeds right after I take them out of the water, and they will be so beautiful and ready for my stir fry. So now I'm going to make my sauce for the stir fry, as well as getting some more of this beautiful tofu marinated. So let's get started on that sauce. I am going to do some grating of ginger. Now you could take the skin off of the ginger just by scraping it with a spoon, and it kind of just comes right off. You can see there that as I scrape, that brown skin comes off, but honestly, it's really not necessary. You really can just eat all of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and grate the whole thing. And I'm going to need about 4 teaspoons. So it doesn't take long at all to get all of that great. And as soon as you get past the skin, it goes even faster. So I love this little grater. You can use a tower grater, or you can do these handheld ones, but it's really nice. Once you get it flat, the beautiful ginger comes right off. A little bit more and that'll be good. Again, you can use the bottled ginger, but this fresh is going to give us a little stronger flavor, which of course we love when we're trying to dress up our stir fry, especially the tofu. So there is my ginger. Oop, and I think now my noodles are ready. So see how the water starts to get a little bit opaque. I don't know if you can see that, but that tells me the noodles have let go some of their starch and they're probably exactly ready. So let me strain these babies. So I've got my strainer in a stainless steel bowl, and I'm just dropping all the noodles in, and then the water strains off into the bowl. So this is just going to hold beautifully. And I'm just going to let the little bit of extra water hold in the bottom, and then just kind of warm as I finish up my stir fry. Okay, so now let's go to the garlic. Oh, before I go, I want you to see how similar the the ginger pulp is. It has a few additions, which is why some people maybe will just choose not to use it, because it's got some, let me see, I'm going to read it for you. It's got a little bit of liquid added, and again, it just helps to preserve it. So it does have some sugar, so some fructose, vinegar, salt, glycerin, and ascorbic acid. So ascorbic acid is vitamin C, and that's its way of preserving, but you can kind of see the difference here. This is going to be much drier versus the ginger pulp that I get from the produce section of the grocery store. So now I'm going to add in some minced garlic. So the recipe that I'm going to give you does call for 2 or 3 heads, or maybe even 2.5 teaspoons. So again, you don't have to measure exact. Once you get a feel for your flavor profile and the flavors that you really like, it's going to be so easy to get your favorite ratios put together. So now I've got my little garlic cloves here, and I'm going to do a quick chop. You can use the garlic from the tube as well. In fact, I do that quite often. So don't be afraid to cut those corners if you need to. It certainly does work. But something about fresh garlic, I think, just adds so much wonderful flavor. Okay, there's my garlic. And next, so about 3 cloves, and then next I'm going to add in some jalapeno. So I'm adding probably I don't know, maybe 1/4 of that large jalapeno. I'm taking out the seeds and then doing a very rough chop. So if you watched my last class, or on YouTube, of course, I used a Vitamix in order to chop and really blenderize my sauces, which I thought was a really fun way to do a quick chop. So I'm going to be doing that more often. But there's my jalapeno, my garlic, and yeah, I got a little extra ginger in there because I showed you those 2 different styles, but that is okay. So that's my ingredients for the base. Now I'm going to add in the miso. This one I found at H-E-B, and remember, miso is pretty salty. So I'm adding 1.5 tablespoons, and I'm adding 1/4 cup of orange juice, and a little bit of this beautiful hoisin. So vegetarian, make sure you look for that one if you're trying to stay pure vegetarian, because you're going to find that some of them will have anchovy, some of them will have other ingredients that, you know, take you into the animal kingdom. So there we go. Now we're going to do a quick stir. Yeah, that's looking beautiful. So with no oil doesn't mean no liquid. So this is going to be my pretty concentrated solution that I can soak my tofu in and get it ready for the air fryer, which is what I did earlier. Or I can, you know, do a separate sauce and marinate the tofu in a whole different flavor. So lots of options there. The other thing I want to show you is these beautiful mushrooms that I purchased. They are also going to take a couple of minutes to prepare. I want to add them to some hot water. They are dried. The Dynasty is the brand, and I've really used these a lot, and I like them. Look how beautiful these shiitake mushrooms are. They are very flavorful. In the dried state, of course, they last really well, and so you don't have to use them all at once, but they're a really great product. So the water that I just pulled off from my pasta is what I'm going to drop these beautiful shiitake mushrooms in. I'm just going to let them soak just for a short time. You'll see them start to reconstitute. Oh, and it has a great smell. Really, the umami flavor is what we get from the mushrooms, and it just adds so much depth and richness to any saute or stir fry. So that is looking beautiful. So they're just going to hang out. The water is hot, but I don't have the burner on. All right, so now let's prep some veggies. So I've got some beautiful colors here on my table, and I absolutely love putting in lots of color. Notice too that I've got some pieces that are already prepped. So in reality, I mean, we could break these down just a little bit more or almost leave them about the same. So I think there's lots of choice here, but the reality is you want to have all the pieces about the same. So I've got bright green, I've got yellow and red, I've got some beautiful purple, and then I've got the smaller items and the ones that cook faster, which is going to be the carrots and of course the bok choy. So I'm going to do a little bit of extra chopping, just again to help you see what I'm going for similar sizes. I'm going to use my container here, and the items that need to have the longest cooking time are actually going to go in first. Last. So the quickest cooking all the way to the longest cooking. So then when I've got my mise en place, these things that I put in first are going to need the longest cooking, which is why I pulled out the broccoli. So I'm going to put this on my workspace here, and the things that are going to take the least amount of cooking are going to go into my bowl first. So I've got my julienne or matchstick carrots. I've got my beautiful red cabbage. And I'm going to do a little bit of onion. So again, the least amount of cooking to the greater amount of cooking. So here I've done a nice blend of purple onion as well as some yellow or white onion. That's going to go in my layers next. Beautiful. And next comes the peppers. The broccoli last. I know, I always have to like think twice. Whatever goes in first needs the least amount of cooking. But there we go. All right, so now I'm going to use these beautiful little peppers. And notice that they don't have a whole lot of seed in there. So I like that. Fairly easy to prep because there isn't a lot of seed that I'm going to have to take out. So after I kind of double check it and see that they look good inside, and every once in a while you'll see some seeds that are brown, so I have to pull those out. But for the most part, they are easy to just chop and go. So I'm going to put these in strips. The larger the pieces are, of course, the longer they take. So I can also do some timing with the size of cuts, because if I know that something like broccoli is going to take longer to cook, I'm just going to make sure the pieces are smaller. Versus the bok choy, I'm going to leave it in a little bit bigger pieces because it's going to cook real quickly. And I do love this bok choy because the pieces are so pretty. Now we do have a little bit tougher piece here at the end, and so really it's going to be a nice green veggie that's going to add color, a little bit of crunch, and very delicate any way you slice it. So I'm going to do a couple of more peppers. And let's see, I really like the red. If you have any cherry tomatoes in your garden right now, that would be a fabulous last add-in. So in this case, I'm doing the mango as my last add-in, but cherry tomatoes are beautiful. So don't ever underestimate the power of those little babies. All right, I'm going to do 2 more. So I've got red and yellow, very nice. And you don't have to add in the jalapeno to your sauce like I did with that marinade, but I really encourage it. I'm even going to add a little bit of the jalapeno to my stir fry. So again, a small piece, and I'm going to leave the pieces fairly large so that if you want to pull it out, you can, but it's going to add some great flavor. So notice here I've done fairly large strips, and so I'm going to layer those in. So again, you can take them out if you don't want to eat the jalapeno. And I'm going to do a little bit of garlic. Again, the longer cooking items go in the top. So I've added garlic into my marinade, but I also love having it in my vegetables. You can add garlic anywhere. And even though I'm not going to have oil in my cooking, it's still going to get toasty and luscious. I heard my buzzer go off, so I'm going to check over here and see how my half cooking process is looking. All right, looks good. It's getting there. I'm going to give it a toss, because really the way this one's structured, the air frying does a great job on the top layer, but doesn't always get on the inside. So I'm just going to, actually works really well to toss it. Yeah, there we go. So see, that looks perfect. Put it in for its other half of cooking. And again, I did have the temperature down a little bit more than last time. Come on, baby. And there we go. And temperature down to 375. And time, 12 more minutes. Okay, so that's going good. And my mushrooms are looking beautiful. See if they're soft enough. Remember, these aren't going to take much time at all. They need another minute or so to soak. They're just about soft enough. So while I'm waiting for them to soak a little bit more, I'm gonna go ahead and add in my broccoli. And of course, you could do your carrots in different shapes as well. Sometimes when I start with carrots that are like baby carrots, I'll just quarter them and leave, you know, a nice pretty hunk of carrot in there. There's just so nice, and it's okay if it's a little bit crispy. We kind of expect carrots to be crispy. I feel like the chayote squash, since we were all kind of new to it, it didn't seem right to have it too crispy. I think a little bit, of course, is always nice, a little al dente as far as the veggie goes, but not too hard. Okay, so I have added 2 extra garlics. Again, it's a rough mince, and I'm putting it towards the top of my saute bowl. And now comes the broccoli. So I'm going to cut them in half. Some of these larger ones I might even do in thirds. Because again, we want the veggies to really absorb some of the moisture. Notice here on my table that in addition to my beautiful sauce, I do have some rice vinegar that I'm going to add as I go. And I have a little bit of broth. I've been letting my skillet heat up because I do want there to be a good amount of sizzle right when I put the products in, and it will release some of the moisture from the veggies and really help everything to cook nicely. Okay, that's probably good. Yeah, that looks great. So small bowl full. Again, I can do a couple of batches this way. I've got my sauce here ready to go. So I'm not going to put the sauce in just yet, because I first want to get these going with a little bit of broth. Again, because the veggies on top need a little more cooking time. So I'm going to drop those in, a little bit of the peppers. There we go. And I just like having everything in my bowl to start with. Okay, so now a little bit of broth. And you know, really my whole adventure of cooking with no oil doesn't mean that I don't think we should never use oil. I think it's, of course, okay. But what if some of these great ideas teach us that we can use a whole lot less in the whole cooking process? That, I think, would be awesome. So see, now it's getting a little steam going. That's perfect. And now I'm going to add some of my beautiful sauce. Because what I think, too, is with the orange juice and even the ginger, it's going to have a little bit of browning ability with the sugars, those natural sugars. So look how pretty that is. Already I've got nice moisture happening to the broccoli, and a little bit of the softer veggies like the onions in there, and the peppers are really helping to get all those good flavors. I'm also going to add a little bit of my seeds here at the early stage. And let me check my beautiful mushrooms again and see if they are ready. Oh, yeah, they feel soft. Let's see. Oh, yeah, cuts right through. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to put these in my bowl. Let's see, I'm going to use a separate bowl. Yes, right here. Again, I want to put these beautiful mushrooms in at the end because they do not need much cooking at all. They are beautiful as they are. I could add a little bit of soy sauce to the water as I'm letting them reconstitute, but you don't need it. I mean, the sauce that we're going to be dazzling them with is going to have lots of great flavor. And whenever you do use miso, remember that there is quite a bit of salt in this flavor. And then hoisin brings in a little bit of the sweet. Okay. So let me give a quick little slice through all these beautiful mushrooms. Yeah, they've got a perfect texture. So I think I'm just going to cut them in half, keep them intact as much as I can. My broccoli is looking gorgeous. We never want the broccoli to get soggy either. So there's always that fine line with how much do you cook your stir fry so that all the vegetables really stay perky and crunchy. Yeah. Okay, so that looks beautiful. I'm just going to put them in this side dish, and I'm going to put a little bit of my marinade right on top. just so they can get some extra flavor. You know, whenever you bite into each veggie, you want it to have lots of explosion of flavor. So there we go. I'm just going to have that off to the side. And let's put our bok choy together, because now I think our veggies are just about ready. Rough chop of the bok choy. There we go. Okay, so the bigger pieces at the end will go in first, and then the smaller pieces. So I'm getting all my smaller veggies in now, so I'm ready to add in the beautiful cabbage and the carrots right on the top. I added in a few slices of my beautiful bok choy. Oh my gosh, it's looking so gorgeous. So see, now I've got all my layers in there, a little bit of broccoli at the bottom, a little bit of jalapeno, a little bit of garlic. Now I'm just gonna layer on the sauce. I'm gonna bring my heat up just a tad, because now I'm ready to let it steam and saute. So here's my sauce. So remember, this is a mixture of orange juice, fresh grated ginger, fresh garlic, the miso, and the hoisin. So I'm just using probably about half of it. This other half I'm going to marinate my tofu for my next cooking class, because I've done it earlier for the one that we're using that's already in there. Oh yeah, that is looking so pretty. See, there you go. So now it's just going to do its thing in the skillet. I'm going to put the mushrooms in at the very end, and then the mango. So let me show you how I cut this beautiful mango. You Texans probably know how to do that, but it sure is fun when you've got a nice fresh one. Cut right down the center third. The pit of the mango is kind of a funky shape. It's kind of like a disc shape. So I go on either side to get the very best part of that mango, and then I'm going to cut like a checkerboard, maybe 3 in one direction, and then switch it perpendicular and do a few more. And then when you flip it out, all those beautiful pieces of mango are so easy to cut right off. So I'm just going to slice all those babies off. And again, this is going to be that fresh wow that goes into my dish just as the time when I'm ready to serve it. One thing I don't have on my table that I certainly could add into my stir fry would be some fresh herbs. So don't be afraid to snip off some fresh basil from your garden, or cilantro. Of course, parsley would be good too. I've been really loving Thai basil, so I've been using a little bit of that in my cooking at the very plate up stage. So here's my gorgeous mango. Just going to put it in my little container off to the side, because that will be so gorgeous. And again, you can keep them in these beautiful diamond shapes, or you could chop them a little bit more, but I just think they look so gorgeous. And the best way to tell if you have a good ripe mango is it should be soft to the touch, but not mushy. And it should have a little bit of pink on it. Let me show you this one. So it's got some good color in the rind, and so that always gives me the thumbs up that I've probably got some time that it's ripened on the vine, and it should be really delicious. Okay, let's check on our stir fry here. Wow, that's looking so pretty. And this is just about done. I've got a little bit of the crispy bok choy there. I've got all those colors. I'm going to add a little bit more seeds. Oh, but the aroma is so good. Remember, it's got lots of bursting flavors from that marinade that I created. Let's check on our tofu. This is its second cooking time. I've got about 5 minutes left. Oh, it looks so pretty. Look, I got a little bits of brown in there, little bits of crispy. I think this is ready. Love it, love it. Oops. Let's put it on our plate. Oh yeah, look at that. Some of them are more crispy than the others, which is A-okay. I lost a little soldier over there. But I'm really loving this. Yeah, we probably could have let it cook a little bit longer, but I like how it's It's very crispy on the outside and soft in the center. And as you guys know, if you were here last time, I'm still getting used to this fryer. The one that I use the most at my house is flat. You know, it's more like a tray, and I still like that better. I honestly do. This one's okay, but I think the flat surface does aid in the actual plating and browning of all of the layers. So this is just about done. I'm going to add in my second layer of seeds. Look, and I didn't even need any broth. I mean, really, I don't think you'd need it. I've got this extra amount of broth that I'm going to put some tofu in, but let's start our plate up. So I'm going to turn the heat off because I think that's perfect. If I let it cook much more, I'm afraid my veggies are going to get soggy. Oh, but you know what I almost forgot? The mushrooms. So while my skillet is still hot, let's add in these beautiful mushrooms. That's probably enough. Yeah. Oh yeah, so you got to add that umami flavor. Ooh, that looks so exotic too. The shiitake is just such a beautiful shape. Yeah, I get good aroma. Got a little bit of Asian feel in that, but you know, a little bit of fusion too, because I noticed a little hint of the fennel as well as the caraway seeds. So, you know, hello to fusion cooking, right? Okay, so let me show you how to marinate this tofu for our next class, and then we will plate everything up. I'm just letting that stay in the skillet another minute or so while I do this step so that those mushrooms can get a little bit softer. So notice that this was not frozen, so it's still pretty smushy, meaning that it's got a bit of liquid. I've been letting it drain, which is a good thing. The least amount of liquid is always ideal when you're working with tofu. So now I'm going to slice it. Now you could slice it in strips and put it right into your marinade, or you can do it in cubes, which honestly I really like because that helps the flavors get even more penetrating all through the center of your tofu. Now I've got cut one direction, cut the other, and this is the shapes that I'm getting, these nice cubes. Fits beautifully into my marinade. And you know, you can actually use this marinade more than once. Don't be afraid to save it and use it for your second batch of tofu or even your tempeh. You know, the ingredients in there are pretty hardy and they will certainly last in the fridge. So don't be afraid to reuse them. And usually 1 cube of tofu is enough for 1 meal. So, you know, don't feel like you have to hold back on marinating extra tofu because it's gonna not go very far anyway. Okay, so see that little bit that I had left over was plenty for my second bowl of tofu. And now let's put our beautiful plating together. Need a little space here because this is going to be so pretty. I've got that toasted tofu. Here's my fresh plate. So remember the noodles that we did? They are going to go on first. I'm going to douse them in a little bit of their water just to make sure they're fresh. Sometimes they stick together a little bit. So again, no oil is necessary. I'm just kind of refreshing them a little bit in that warm, steamy water. And this is another spot where I could add some more seeds if I wanted, just a touch of sesame seed. And I could also add a little bit of rice vinegar. In fact, I think I will do that. Layers of flavor work in so many capacities. Really nice. Here's my sesame seeds. Put that on our noodles as well, so that every bite you get has some interest and intrigue. There we go. Yeah, that looks so pretty. See, they're fluffy and gorgeous. Okay, so let's set up our plate. So we're going to do probably a serving for 2. Well, we can make, this is a pretty small plate. I'll keep it to serving of 1, so you can kind of see where I'm going with the portion size. And now we've got our beautiful stir-fry veggies. Yeah, see, they're just perfect. We got great texture still. Our broccoli is still real perky. No oil at all. And now I'm going to layer on beautiful vegetables. Make sure we get some good color of each item. There's our mushrooms, and then our tofu is going to go on the side. Oh yeah, it's crispy. I can't wait to try this and have you guys try it too. There we go, the finished plate. And let's do a little of our extra sauce right on the top. There we go. And we'll finish off with a few seeds. And there you have it. Oilless stir fry, full of color and flavor, and not to mention a little surprise touch of some sweet. So savory, sweet, and full of antioxidants and nutrition. So hope you love this, and I can't wait to have you guys try it. See you next time.